everyone, and welcome to the Snack Bar. We give you the nom-noms of the movie sometimes. My name is Jerry, and with me I have...
Hi, sometimes I'm an old beggar woman, and sometimes I'm a beautiful enchantress, and other times I'm Jedd, a geek who writes movie reviews.
Congrats.
Thank you.
You know what? You're not sometimes an old hag. You're always an enchantress to me, Jedd.
Aw, thank you, Jerry.
So anyway, because we only had 1 week in between, I didn't watch that many movies, so I just have to rely on you, Jedd. What did you watch this week?
I watched, including Beauty and the Beast, 7 movies this week.
Oh my god, okay.
Yeah,
You watched 2 movies in 1 day or something?
Yeah, I watched 2 movies on a Thursday, because on a Thursday I watched in the morning Ghost in the Shell. I cannot talk about that yet. And then in the afternoon I went to watch Beauty and the Beast with a friend of mine.
I see.
Yeah, so if this episode is coming out after Monday the 20th, right?
Yep.
Okay, then I can talk about Power Rangers.
Okay, I'm very curious about this because I don't really want to watch it because I'd rather watch Get Out. But if this is good, then I will give it a chance. So is it good or is it bad?
This is okay, which surprised me, honestly. Yeah.
Okay, as in go out and watch it, or it's alright? You wouldn't hate yourself for watching it?
It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think that my main concern was tone, really. I thought that it was going to be very mopey and very, millennial and kind of whiny based on the trailer. And
so a CW drama, I guess.
Yes, there is some of that, to be sure. CW drama is more accurate than what I described, which is an MTV drama. CW drama is more accurate. However, it's still quite funny, and I really enjoyed how much characterization they tried to give each of them. So I think that you have to have certain expectations when you go in. The first thing you need to know is this is an origin story, so they're going to do the same old origin story song and dance. And it's actually 90 minutes until they wear the full costumes.
Oh
yeah.
My god, okay.
So there's a whole training thing going on, and I actually really like Bryan Cranston as Zordon. The way they do Zordon in this movie is pretty cool, which is pin screen animation. So it's a lot like in Man of Steel when the Kryptonians have their displays, or in the first X-Men movie where they have the map of New York on the table. So it's the imprint of Bryan Cranston's face made of these tiny metal CGI pins moving across the wall of the command ship, which is quite a cool visual.
Is this film super pretty to look at?
I think the design grows on you after a while because it's too busy. A lot of it is too busy, but it's not as bad as the Michael Bay Transformers films.
Okay.
Yeah, and their argument, and I totally get it, is, this is alien technology, so we can't make it look like spandex. So fine, I think the practical suits are built by, let me see if I've got this right, Weta Workshop and Legacy Effects. So these are good people building the suits. They know what they're doing. I mean, they've done a lot of Rings and Warcraft and Iron Man. So the suits actually look pretty cool. The Zords, I think it's kind of hard to tell what animal they're based on, what prehistoric animal, because Kimberly's Zord barely looks like a pterodactyl anymore. It's just a flying thing. But yeah, there are bits of this that will traumatize more children.
Okay.
And Rita Repulsa is fantastic. Elizabeth Banks is the best part of this. Fun.
Okay, that's great to hear.
Yeah, that was one of my big concerns, was how much is too much. Because a large part of the appeal of the original Power Rangers is the cheesiness. I mean, that's what people love about it. So in this one, I was worried they would either be too cheesy or not cheesy at all. And I think Elizabeth Banks strikes a very, very good balance because she has a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of cackling and there's a lot of posturing and doing the villainous vampy thing, but there are also scenes where she's genuinely frightening. And there's a scene which is in the trailer where she appears in Trini's bedroom, the Yellow Ranger, and she's fighting her, and that actually has kind of sexual overtones, which is interesting. When she goes I'll show you mine if you show me yours, in the children's movie. Yeah, and the kids are mostly not annoying. I think you might like the Red Ranger actually because he's the boring leader type.
Hey, come on. Don't do that to me.
He's the Leonardo and the Cyclops of the group. He's like a high school jock, but he's been disgraced because he pulled a prank and then got him kicked off the football team. So they
But that
all
doesn't sound like the leader type of character that I like. I like the really sweet kind, the one that puts himself above others.
eventually that's what he becomes. He has a whole arc where Zordon tells him, you have been chosen to lead your team, and then he's like, me, what am I gonna do? So yeah, it's more or less his hero's journey. And
Okay.
they do an interesting thing where the Blue Ranger, RJ Siler, they confirm, like they straight up say that he's on the autistic spectrum. So he has tics, and he's a little bit overacting a little in a way that might be annoying, but at the same time he's very sweet and very endearing. And you
Okay.
sort of feel like, because he's bullied a lot in school, and yeah, the reason why you might like the Red Ranger is he's the one who sticks up for the Blue Ranger. When he's bullied in school, he confronts the bully and is like, hey, hands off. So that's what makes establishes his friendship with Billy, the guy who's the Blue Ranger. And then Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, she's a rebel, she's a cheerleader, but she wants to rebel against perfection. It's kind of stupid, but I like it. And the Black Ranger, Ludi Lin, Zach, he is this guy who he's impulsive and has a wild streak, but he takes care of his mom who's like terminally ill. So
Okay.
he also has a responsible side. And then Trini, the Yellow Ranger, she's got a lot of attitude. So she puts up a hoodie and she sticks her earphones in her ears and doesn't want to listen to people. So it's got a little bit of silliness, but they also try to give them characters, and they try to let you know who these characters are before they put on the costumes, which I admire to a certain extent. I thought it was just going to be fight.
How's the action in this movie? Like, is it really? Well, you didn't watch the original Power Rangers, right?
No, I know a little bit of it, and I've seen bits and bobs, but I wasn't a fan. I didn't grow up a fan.
Okay, but so are the action scenes good? I wanted to ask you whether they hovered back to the old Power Rangers, because there was one shot I saw in the trailer where they just zoomed in on them. There was this really hard zoom that I was like, okay, that's a really Power Rangers shot.
Yeah, the thing about the original Power Rangers is they recycled all the action sequences from Super Sentai, from the Japanese progenitor of the show. So in this one, I was actually quite impressed with the visual effects. I thought the visual effects were going to look kind of cheap, but they don't. And the Zords, it ends with a big battle when they are all charging to battle in their Zords, as they do. And that sequence is interesting. It kind of reminds me of the Smallville fight in Man of Steel.
Okay.
Yeah, because Angel Grove is like a small town, a seaside town. So when they are fighting, whatever it is they're fighting, I won't spoil it, it is a little bit like that. And there's actually not a lot of action until the climactic sequence, which is about 15 solid minutes of a big battle. So earlier on, most of the fights are much smaller scale, like hand to hand, or there's Rita threatening people. And I think mainly the visual effects work. I was quite impressed with how they did Zordon, because it uses visual effects to tell a story. I think Alpha 5 is also not too bad. The little robot runs around. He's voiced by Bill Hader, so it's very much like the comic relief robot archetype. So it's a bit annoying, but then again, so was Alpha 5 in the show, from what I'm led to believe. He does a decent ay ay ay, which is his catchphrase.
Okay, so you haven't convinced me to watch it, so I think I'll just wait for it to come on Netflix or something. Do you think critics would like it in general?
Yeah, this is a difficult question, because I think people are going to go into it expecting it to be very similar to the Michael Bay Transformers films or the Michael Bay produced Ninja Turtles movies, and there are elements of that, but on the whole, it's actually a lot less silly. Which it doesn't take itself too seriously. One of my favorite jokes in this, which is it's a stupid joke, but Zach's Zord is out of control and bounding down the hill, and then we find out that on the road below, there's a bus full of nuns driving. Then they cut into the bus, and then the nuns are singing the song as they're driving happily along the road. And then Zach's Zord is about to smash into the bus full of nuns. So I thought that's actually old school, classic comedy, Three Stooges sort of stuff, which I thought was funny. I didn't expect that to be in this movie. So after that moment, I was like, okay, I think they're not being totally glum and gritty about it.
Yeah. Okay. What else did you watch?
Oh,
that you want to talk about?
yeah, I watched The Boss Baby yesterday.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank
Was
you.
it bad?
It's not good.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
let's just leave it at that because every time we talk back about DreamWorks, I just feel so it hurts. Like it actually hurts because they've produced three of my favorite animated films of all time. So to see them going down this route, it just hurts so much.
yeah, I feel that this is very much something they put the B team on. That this is something that they put people who want working on other stuff on because it doesn't seem like it's a big release that they're hyping up, and I think they're kind of like sneaking it out. Here's the problem with it really. The premise is not workable and it's not something that kids would connect to because it's very much playing on a lot of corporate humor. This is stuff that studio execs found amusing. That, there's a baby in a business suit who wants a corner office. So kids will be like, what is that? And I think this is very different from something like, say, Monsters, Inc. When Monsters, Inc., the corporate structure was not the main source of the comedy or the drama. And in
Yeah,
this
it was
one,
about a little girl and this monster who aren't
exactly,
supposed to be
yeah.
friends. That's the core and that's the heart of Monster Inc.
Right, yeah. And with this one, it's you have to know all of the corporate structure, like middle management, executives, etc., etc. And then they also have very long sequences which are based directly on older films. They do that DreamWorks pop culture reference thing, but they do a long sequence which is based on Indiana Jones that kids won't get. And there's a whole thing with Elvis impersonators in Vegas, and the kids are like, "Who is Elvis?" So a lot of this stuff you need to know to understand how it's going. It's not like in Zootopia when they drop the references in the background, and it's fun for the parents to catch. But if you're a kid, you don't have to understand that Mr. Big is Marlon Brando, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry you had to watch that. I really
No.
hope DreamWorks gets their groove back, but it doesn't look like it.
They're doing
I quite
Captain
like Trolls
Underpants
though.
this year, right? Yeah.
I have no idea.
I think Captain Underpants is what they're doing this year. Okay, yeah. So, well, DreamWorks. The thing is that they do very competent action sequences, and
Yes,
yeah,
to me they are the ones that have the best action sequences in any animated studio ever.
right. Yeah,
I
you
mean,
see that
besides
in
the
this.
animes, of course, but for US, I think that they're the best because you look at Kung Fu Panda, you look at even Shrek and How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah,
The action sequences are amazing and breathtaking.
because what they understand very well is movement, is rhythm, is drawing a straight line through your scene, and giving the audience something to follow, which they do here. And Alec Baldwin is funny. He has very good comic timing. I also like the kid child actor who's doing it. And it's not terrible in that I did not hate it, but it's not good. Like, the problems I thought it was going to have, it did have.
I guess it's the same way I feel about Trolls. And,
Perhaps, yeah.
I don't hate it, but it is bad.
Right. Yeah, I think that there is a certain category of DreamWorks movies that are like that.
Okay, so do you want to go straight ahead to Beauty and the Beast?
Before we do that, yeah, I'll just talk very briefly about another thing I just watched, called The
Okay.
Zookeeper's Wife.
Oh, I've never heard of that before. What's that about?
So it's based on a true story, and it stars Jessica Chastain as Antonina Zabinski. So this is based on this couple who ran the Warsaw Zoo in Poland during World War II. So after Germany invaded Poland, they started using the zoo to hide and rescue the Jews from the ghetto during when the Germans were rounding up all the Jews. So they hid like over 300 Jewish people in the basement of their zoo residential building during this time.
That sounds like an Oscar bait movie.
A little bit, yeah.
Is it good?
It's okay. I think that Jessica Chastain really carries it because she is Jessica Chastain and she is compulsively watchable, and this is her movie. Like, she is definitely the main character. And I forgot who is the guy playing her husband. He's a European actor, but he's good. And of course, Daniel Bruhl is the villain. He's stuck playing Nazis in any Hollywood thing he's in. What makes this slightly different from other Holocaust or other World War II movies is the setting of the zoo, where you do have a lot of the animals and you see her interact directly with the animals. Like, one of her establishing moments is this elephant has just had a baby, but the baby is being strangled by its umbilical cord. So she goes to like do CPR on a baby elephant, which is kind of interesting. And you see like how much the animals mean to her and how heartbreaking it is when the Nazis come in and like bomb the zoo. So it has that added dimension to it, but it's very slow in the middle. And it looks and feels a lot like what you expect this movie set in this period to look and feel like.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's The Zookeeper's Wife. Oh, yeah, it's directed by the woman who is going to direct Mulan.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Nikki
you should have
Carroll.
started off with that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I buried the lead. From New Zealand. She directed this movie called Whale Rider, which is quite well known.
Okay. Well, a lot of New Zealand directors coming up to direct big films, huh?
Right, Taika Waititi and her, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Beauty and the Beast, Jedd. What is Beauty and the Beast about for those people who've been living under a shell for the past, I guess, 1999, that was when it came out. So
1991.
26 years?
Yeah, 25, 26 years, and or if you've been living under a rock for the past 400 years, or 300 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's it about?
Yep, so Beauty and the Beast is based on the 1991 animated film of the same name, as you mentioned earlier, which is in turn based on an 18th century French fairy tale by Gabriel Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve, which was rewritten by Jean-Marie Le Prince Beaumont. And this version is slightly closer to the later one. It's about Belle, played by Emma Watson, who is a very bright young girl who lives in a French provincial town with her father Maurice, an artist played by Kevin Kline. So she's misunderstood by all the townspeople because she's a bookworm, she loves reading, and she does not conform to all of the expected norms of a woman of the time. She is very beautiful though, so she catches the eye of Gaston, played by Luke Evans, who's this boorish alpha male war veteran, and he's always accompanied by his sidekick LeFou, played by Josh Gad. So one day, Maurice loses his way in the woods, and he ends up at a castle where he is held prisoner by a frightening beast, played by Dan Stevens. Turns out that the beast used to be a handsome prince, but he was cursed by an enchantress for his haughtiness and his unkindness towards her. So this curse also fell upon the household staff of the castle, which includes the head butler Lumiere, played by Ewan McGregor, who is now a candelabra, the majordomo Cogsworth, played by Ian McKellen, who is a clock, and the matronly head of the kitchen, Mrs. Potts, played by Emma Thompson, who is a teapot, and she has a son named Chip, played by Nathan Mack. So Belle must fall in love with the beast to break the curse. But when Gaston learns of the beast's existence, he will stop at nothing to kill the beast and take Belle for himself.
Okay, I don't really know how to feel about this movie because let's just start with how we feel about the original Beauty and the Beast, the 1991 Beauty and the Beast. I thought, as a kid, I never really got into it. I thought that it was just okay. And now I still think that it's just okay. The only thing that really makes me interested in this, in the animated film, is obviously the music and the animation. And the story, I think people misunderstand a lot of what the relationship between Belle and Beast are.
Oh, Stockholm Syndrome!
Yeah, it's not Stockholm Syndrome. I'm not a fan of people calling it that because she never fell in love with him when he was mean to her and when he held her captive. She stayed because she wanted to stay, because she was the reason why the beast got hurt.
Okay, so yeah, that I agree with that, and I think that this one, it also does something which is closer to the original story, which is the reason why the beast imprisons Maurice is because he was picking a rose in the beast garden, which is from the original story.
Yeah. I forgot why he imprisoned him in the original. Like, in the animated version.
He was just not happy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to me, this film, it's not as good as the original, but I don't think the original is as amazing as a lot of people think it is.
Oh, you have earned so many enemies among your fellow Disnerds, Gerry.
No, I mean, I think we all are in that generation where we like the Hercules, we like the sassy princesses. Oh wait, hang on, Belle is kind of sassy, but
she's the beginning of that. Like, you see that come up a little bit more with her.
Like, we like Aladdin and Hercules and Emperor's New Groove. Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid, we felt like it's not as cool, I guess, because it's very too romantic maybe. But Aladdin, all that, they have action scenes which are always really fun. and the girls do fight back, which is always nice.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, am I remembering my Disney film wrong?
No,
and
no.
obviously Mulan. Yeah. So Beauty and the Beast, I am only very protective of it because of the music and because I like the musical, the stage musical.
Yeah, I love the stage musical.
There are some things in this film that I thought did really well, where they got rid of, when the prince turned into the beast. Although I really wish that in the beginning everything would be animated instead of a live action version of what happened in the past. Because in the
Okay.
original film it was like stained glass,
Yeah.
and that was what they used to tell. And I would have loved it if the beginning was a stained glass, like a live action stained glass. Obviously it'd be visual effects, but it's still live
But
action
that would
enough.
be really cool. Yeah, like in Young Sherlock Holmes when the stained glass knight jumps out and starts attacking him, something like that.
Yeah. And I've never seen that before, but that sounds cool. I also hate Belle's dress so much in this. It looks like a prom dress.
The ball gown?
Yes, the ball
people
gown.
have problems with that dress. Yeah, I watched it with a friend of mine who's very much into costume design, and she said, look, that is gold paint, that's glitter paint, that's what people do when they don't have time to sew details on.
And also, the reason why the dress is that way and not like the original is because Emma Watson was like, oh, feminism, every girl can be beautiful and they don't have to look like that. But it's like, well, you're Emma Watson, so your argument is kind of invalid because you are very beautiful yourself without makeup. Yeah, I'm sorry. But I feel like because you are being paid to be an actress and you can't even sing that well, I'm sorry, but you can't. And
yeah, we're all over the place with this. Sorry, because I would like us to like get into see, this is why I need feminism, because here I am, I'm stepping all over your lines. But I would like us to get into the order of it so that we can talk about all the Emma Watson stuff in one place, and then
okay, sure. You want to just talk about Emma Watson first, because I think she kind of is the biggest problem in this movie.
Yes. Before we get to that, I want to talk about, like you were mentioning earlier, my attitude towards the 1991 film and what I feel about that.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Yes, go on.
That's okay. I love Beauty and the Beast. I love Little Mermaid. I think those two, along with Hunchback, are the Disney Renaissance films that I hooked into most deeply. Pocahontas to a certain extent. I don't remember being very, very taken with like Lion King, oddly enough, from that era, or Hercules very much. Mulan, yes. So, but I think that when I think Disney Renaissance, my first thought is The Little Mermaid, and my second thought is Beauty and the Beast, which is chronologically how they're produced. And with Beauty and the Beast, a lot of it is very much the tragedy of Howard Ashman, of how he, at about 41, passed away before the film was released. The lyricist who wrote the songs with Alan Menken and who did The Little Mermaid as well, and who was starting to work on Aladdin, and then he died of AIDS. So it's recently been revealed that the whole thing is kind of a metaphor for AIDS, that the curse on the beast is seen as something like AIDS, and that was Howard Ashman's attitude towards it. That's why you have Kill the Beast, where they have like, oh, we don't understand it, so it frightens us, and that was supposed to reflect the societal attitudes towards the community who are struggling with that. So that layer to it, I appreciate understanding that. I also really love a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, like when they interview Glenn Keane and you look at the earlier designs for the Beast and how a lot of it just really didn't work. It's just sticking a monkey's head in a dude. And this movie, it was produced in 2 years, which is super, super fast for an animated film. And not only that, but they were doing 1 year with a different creative team and it was scrapped halfway because it wasn't working out. They were working on it.
Yeah.
You notice 1 year as not a musical and then it wasn't working out. So like the number of factors that came together for this and the use of CGI in the ballroom scene, how it went on to really take a lot of Academy Awards home, the sensation it caused at the New York Film Festival where everyone's like, this is incredible. So that history of it and the story behind it, I think, deepens my appreciation of Beauty and the Beast, the 1991 animated film. And the stage show, I remember it being one of the very, very first stage shows I saw when I was 5, I think, in London. And I remember very little of it I was 6. I was 5. Yeah, I was 5. I remember the prince transforming to beast, and I was thinking that's like a cool effect. I mean, I didn't know the term effect, but that's a cool thing. So yeah, and then I'm very sad because when it came to Singapore a couple of years ago, I was late and I missed Belle. I missed the opening number.
Oh, she was amazing.
Yeah, Hilary Mayberger is so good. I had a much easier time buying her as Belle than Emma Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically Hilary Mayberger is she's like in my head live action Belle. Yeah, so that's where I was coming to this from. And then I was looking forward to this film a lot since like 2-3 years ago when they announced it. Because the first thing I heard was Emma Watson is doing Beauty and the Beast with Guillermo del Toro and it's not the Disney version. I was like, interesting. And then Guillermo del Toro, as he's wont to do, scrapped that project. And she boarded the Disney one, and then they said Dan Stevens is the Beast, Luke Evans is Gaston, and Josh Gad is the Fool. And then they started reeling off the names for the Enchanted Objects. You know, Ian McKellen, Ewan McGregor, Emma Thompson. I was like, this is insane. I can't wait. So yeah, I was hyped. I was hyped for this from the beginning.
I was the same. I was on the same boat as you two. Honestly, I thought Emma Watson was the perfect Belle, but I didn't know whether she could sing or not. But she's perfect, right? So I thought that she could sing.
Right.
But she can't.
Let's get into that now. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about the titular half of the titular couple, the beauty half. Emma Watson is Belle. Yeah.
And I still love her because she will always be Hermione Granger to me. And I think what she does in real life, what she does for women is amazing. And what she fights for is really super inspiring as well. But as Belle, she can't sing. And the thing, she can't even sing decently so much that they had to auto-tune her. And it really...
Yeah, she's auto-tuned into oblivion, and it's the most obvious with her and with the kid who sings as the young prince's little flashback. And there's a short amount of time where there's a kid singing as him. He's very heavy auto-tune. Nobody else is. They didn't do that to Ian McGregor. They didn't do that to Kevin Kline. They didn't do that to Luke Evans or Josh Gad. So it's very jarring because in Belle, in the opening number, it's done as, like a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta where she's singing, but then people are replying, talking, bonjour, bonjour. So you hear a very noticeable change in the quality of the sound.
Yeah, and also, can we... Oh, okay, never mind. We'll talk about musical sequences later. But
yeah,
one of my favorite... In fact, I love all the Disney reprises, but one of my favorite reprises in Disney is the Belle reprise.
Yes.
And I felt like she really butchered that really badly. It was so badly autotuned, and she couldn't even hit the high notes with autotune.
And I want adventure in the great wide somewhere, that bit, right?
Yeah. And I just wish that they dubbed her instead. I don't care if that's not her real voice. It's a song, and I'd rather a song sound good than it being authentic.
Yeah, and I guess that's what they did all the time in the 50s and 60s. Like, nobody is singing in West Side Story. Nobody is singing in My Fair Lady,
And you know what? High School Musical. Zac Efron was dubbed. So Disney has done this way, Disney has done this quite recently.
Wait,
I don't see why they couldn't do that with Emma Watson.
Hang on, was Zac Efron dubbed in Hairspray then?
No, he wasn't.
Okay, good.
He could sing then.
Yeah, because I would be very sad if I suddenly find out that Link Larkin was not Zac Efron singing.
Link. Yeah. So I really did not like Emma Watson's voice. Her acting was okay. I read in your review how she's just playing Emma Watson.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
Kinda, right?
Because I can't really blame her for that because Belle is pretty much Emma Watson, where she's very smart. She encourages girls, girl power and all that.
Yeah,
and she's very kind.
Like, she holds her own against people who have sexist attitudes towards her, and she's not afraid of saying, this is where you're wrong, and I'm gonna argue with you and sort of point out why this doesn't make sense, which Belle does to Gaston.
And I will admit that I didn't really like Belle as a kid because she felt a little bit too much like a stuck up to me.
Right.
And she also there was this part, I think, in the musical, the stage musical, where she said, "Oh yeah, I understand you, Beast. I was an outcast in my village as well." And I thought, well, you're an outcast because you read. The Beast is an outcast because he looks the way he does. And I thought that that wasn't a very fair comparison. But then, they show them throwing her clothes after she washed it, and I thought, okay, fine, that's a pretty good representation on who she is to the villagers.
Yeah,
and why they don't like her.
Like, I think the best part of this remake really is that they take the opportunity to give characters more development, more characterization. They are a little bit fuller realized, and I especially like what they did with LeFou.
Yeah.
And I think, like, when they show Belle bonding with Beast doing something there, they do talk about both of them being an outcast, and it makes more sense in this version.
Yeah. What else is that? Emma Watson, her dress is terrible. Her dress at the end was terrible too. You know, the one with the flowers, the white dress and the flowers?
Right, yeah, the transformation dress is a bit too modern.
It's so ugly. No, even the prom dress itself was really ugly. Not what? Okay, it wasn't ugly. It just looked very modern and very okay. Like, there's nothing that stood out about it. Because you look at something like Cinderella, obviously, and that dress is so gorgeous, and that was, the big thing about Cinderella had always been about the transformation scene. And I thought that the live action Cinderella film nailed that. And this one, because the ball gown doesn't stand out, I felt like that hindered the way of the Beauty and the Beast dance sequence.
Right, yeah, in the ballroom, which I think it didn't have as much impact as it wanted to, and I don't know why, but they were more restrained with the camera swoops than the animated version. And I wanted them to move the crane higher. I was like, higher, guys, higher!
Yeah, to the chandelier, right?
Yes, the crane into the chandelier and then like out the other side, and you see them underneath. That's a beautiful shot, and I think that's an iconic shot which they missed here.
And can we talk about the musical sequences now? I felt like
before you do that, can I talk about what I thought about Emma Watson as well?
Okay, I'm so sorry. Like, this is okay, Disney, so I'm like so protective over it.
This is one where we have a lot to talk about, which is good, because there's a lot to unpack, and I kind of like that.
And can I just say, can we not have any spoiler in this? Because there's nothing to spoil in this film.
As in, you just freely talk about the plot. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, except maybe LeFou, but yeah, maybe like LeFou and whatever changes they may have made. Right, but I think we can just say the entire story.
Yeah, okay. So, with Emma Watson as Belle, my colleague, she wrote in her review, Sean wrote that, she's a better advocate than she is an actress, which is a burn. But I think that that's true to a certain extent. Like, I like Emma Watson a lot in Perks of Being a Wallflower and in The Bling Ring. And I do agree with what you said, where Belle is very close to her persona. And she said that she identified very closely with the character growing up. And I think that's true. But she does not disappear into the role. I look at her, I can only see Emma Watson. And I think a part of that is because of how closely she's been associated with the Hermione character for more than 10 years. But I look at Luke Evans and I see Gaston, which, so it's like, I think there is somebody out there who could be a better Belle, but they did not find that person. And they, like, a lot of this is branded with Emma Watson as the main draw, as they are going to have kids who grew up on Harry Potter coming to see this because Emma Watson is playing Belle. And I think that that's a little bit dangerous because with Cinderella, it was not branded with Lily James. And as such, maybe because she was not as famous in the US at that time, it was easier to buy her as Cinderella than it was to buy Emma Watson as Belle. And like, this is not really an indictment of her acting ability. I think she did fine. I loved when she angrily threw the bird seed on the floor at the beginning of the reprise, where it's like,
it's like she was mad at Ron or something.
Exactly, yeah. Madame Gaston, his little wife. And there are certain bits where, okay, she's not a good singer, but I really like this thing she did during that, where there goes the baker with his tray, like always, where she changed the tempo a tiny bit. And it gave it a little bit more life. I like that rearrangement. Like, not to the extent of Les Miserables where they just throw the time signatures all out the window. But I like that small change.
Okay. I don't like it, but okay.
No, yeah, I don't think she ruins it, but I think it's obvious enough that when you look at it, you're like, I wish there were a better Belle, or there must have been some other casting solution, because she sticks out. She's not bad, but she sticks out. And weirdly enough, this is something my mom said, even not having watched the film, just like looking at pictures of her, she's like, I don't think it works. Yeah.
I think, well, to be fair, I think she is a good Belle. It's just that she doesn't have the singing chops for it. I mean, that's my only problem with it, and I don't like that because of her we don't get the beautiful gown that I really really wanted.
Yeah. So I have seen cosplayers do better gowns than the one in the film. Like,
and okay, we're getting kind of political here, but it's kind of ridiculous how she goes on to say that girls can be pretty in that. But yeah, that's true, but that's not the gown. You know,
yeah,
like we're not that insecure to the point where we have to have like a super realistic looking prom dress that didn't even exist back then.
It is
that was
yeah. I mean, it is a fantasy movie. Guys do not turn it into hairy buffalo mandrill monsters in real life. Which is, yeah, that's another thing when people were all caught up about the gay thing. It's like, look, guys, it's a fantasy movie. So, yeah, with the dress, here's my big problem with it. Belle wears normal clothes as well. In the beginning, she's not, like, wearing that through the whole movie. So, your argument falls apart a little bit.
Wait, well, what are we talking about?
No, Emma Watson talking about the prom dress, and people thinking.
I thought you were talking to me. I'm like, whoa, Jedd, no, calm down.
And I was addressing Emma Watson, who obviously listens to the podcast. Hi, Emma.
Yeah.
Hey there.
I love you in I've only watched you in Harry Potter. I'm so sorry.
I loved you in The Bling Ring and in Perks of Being a Wallflower. Good movie. Yeah, the screenwriter and director of Perks of Being a Wallflower, Stephen Chbosky, co-wrote the screenplay for this. So that might have been an Emma Watson hire.
Okay, so can we talk about the musical sequences in this film?
Yeah, I'm sorry I spent too long on Emma Watson.
No, it's okay. Like, I really... Okay, this sounded really sarcastic. I really do enjoy hearing what you have to say about Emma Watson.
Thank you, Gerry.
Because you didn't grow up with her.
No, I did not.
So it's always interesting to hear, like, the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the musical sequences, everything was really disappointing. Like, okay, I guess Evermore was the best one, but I really wish they had a director who was a lot more stylized in a musical, because this just felt like people singing, and there's no good rhythm to it. They try, like, you can really tell that they try, especially in Belle, where you have the school children stomping their feet
I liked
to
Belle.
the beat
I thought
of the
Belle
music.
was done quite well, yeah.
Oh, really? I did not like Belle at all, because I thought that there weren't enough good cuts, and there wasn't enough. I don't know how to say it. Like, you look at Moulin Rouge, you look at even stuff like Hairspray and La La Land. They all had this really nice stylized feel to it.
All right, yeah. I think what you're talking about is that it's a lot more fluid. Where there's more floating camera stuff, which makes you feel like you're in a dream world, and then this one doesn't do that.
Yeah, and especially the Gaston scene, I felt like there could have been a lot more to do.
Right, yeah.
Something there was okay. I like that she actually got hit by the snowball this time.
Yeah.
That was really funny. Like, that was a good is it diversion? Subversion, yeah.
Right. Yeah, when she got hit by the snowball, like, I turned to my friend and I said, Belle is dead. The end.
And I like that there wasn't really a follow-up to that.
Yeah, that would have been
fell
hilarious.
on the floor.
Like, I want someone to just cut together the whole movie and it ends there.
Okay, what else was there? Be Our Guest was okay.
I did not like
I thought it was I thought it was a little bit too much Emma Watson being like, ah, ha ha ha, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's CGI, cut to Emma Watson reacting against the green screen. But did you like the Aladdin homage?
Oh yes. Oh, so there was an Aladdin homage.
It has to be, right? It has to be.
Like, this is our next live action film, guys.
Yeah, he's waltzing out of the palace of Agrabah.
I thought that I don't know. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, I like how it started with Babette like shining the spotlight on him, and then
you see that's the fine kind of musical that I like. Like, it's very weird. Like, it knows that it's a musical, but at the same time, it doesn't. Like, I like that kind of fun stuff in a musical.
Yes.
So I felt like that was what was missing in this music.
That it
in
needed
this,
to be more heightened.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense actually as a criticism.
Evermore was okay.
Yeah.
But after listening to the Josh Groban version, it's kind of, it doesn't feel as good. But I like it.
I like it too, actually. Yeah, I like it the most of the new songs. Sorry, you go on.
Days of Our Sun sounds like a school play.
Okay.
And what other music? Something There is one thing I really like in Something There was when she looked out in the window and she saw Beast having a conversation with the horse.
Yeah, I love that. It's so cute.
Yeah, that was really fun.
So cute. No, yeah, I think like with Something There, they wanted to take the effort to show a little bit more time passing that is not overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that was one thing Linda Wolverton said when she was adapting the screenplay for the stage version. She was like, "Oh, it's way too fast in the movie."
Yeah.
Okay, so my thoughts on the musical numbers. I have many thoughts on the musical numbers. So, as we established earlier, Alan Menken wrote all the music, and then Howard Ashman wrote the lyrics for the original songs. He passed away, and Tim Rice replaced him. So Tim Rice collaborated with Alan Menken on Aladdin. And Tim Rice is a very established lyricist in English, like West End theatre. He's done a lot of stuff with Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I do prefer Howard Ashman a little bit, but I don't think Tim Rice is bad, and Tim Rice of course did If I Can't Love Her. So my big thing was I was so upset with all the missing songs from the stage musical, and one of the reasons being this was announced in 2009 by Alan Menken as being an adaptation of the stage musical. He said Disney is going to do a live action film version of Beauty and the Beast, but from the stage musical. I was like, all right. And then it arrives on screen, 7 years later, 8 years later, with none of the songs from stage musical. They do such a cruel thing where they play the instrumental of Home, where Home should be. And then I'm sitting there like stewing away.
Oh man, like I saw your Facebook post on that. I'm like, Emma Watson wouldn't be able to pull that off, so it doesn't matter. But then it came on, and I was just like, is this home?
Yeah, I was doing the same thing.
Is this where I must learn to be happy?
Try to find something good in this empty place.
Tragic place. Yeah. Oh man, I love that song so much.
We're gonna do a lot of singing.
I will stay here forever, held in this empty space.
Oh, but that won't be easy.
And I know the reason why. Come on, just bring it home.
My heart's far, far away.
Far away.
Home's
a lie. Oh, I love that song so much.
And I love how it ends with her going, build higher walls around me. And this is such a...
Change every lock and key.
Nothing lasts.
Nothing holds all of me. My heart's far, far away. Home and free.
Oh, I love that song.
Sorry.
So good.
And I also love the part where she goes up to him after he dies, quote unquote, and she's like, don't you know how you've changed
home
me?
Reprise, yes.
Yeah, strange how I finally see. Oh, this is my favorite part.
Oh, yeah.
I am home. Oh. You're my home. Stay with me.
Yeah, I got goosebumps and thinking about it. No, it is so beautiful. And yeah, that's the thing about the stage musical is the use of motifs. And this is something which you have in the original, in the 1991 animated film as well, where you have in Belle where she goes, here's where she meets Prince Charming, but you won't discover that it's until chapter 3. And then they do that during Something There, where sure that he's now Prince Charming.
But it's strange how I find these. Yeah.
Yes, so
And
yeah.
If I Can't Love Her also does that a lot.
Yes, where Alan Menken, he said, in an interview about the stage musical version, that his key or the trick he used when composing the new songs is he would weave in little bits of the melodies from the score from other songs so that it felt more organic. And you can hear that like very obviously with Evermore as well, where they stick in da 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 to try and like give it some connective tissue to earlier. And it's a good trick, but I cannot ignore that those songs are missing.
I'm really sad that when Belle came back, I mean, I get that Evermore was playing in the background, but I really hoped it was Home.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? Evermore can coexist with If I Can't Love Her, because Evermore is in the film where If I Can't Love Her reprise is in the stage musical. So take out the reprise of If I Can't Love Her and leave Evermore in there, but have If I Can't Love Her earlier on when Belle first leaves. Yeah. Right? Yeah, so like Bill Condon had some sort of excuse as to why If I Love Her won't work in the narrative. And I was like, bullshit. There's some sort of sneaky trickery going on, and I don't understand it. Is Disney going to sue Disney if Disney uses Disney song in a Disney film? It's adapted from
I think it's because they want new Oscar songs.
Okay, here's the thing. You have one. That's the usual thing. Les Miserables had Suddenly, and Phantom of the Opera had, Learn to Be Lonely. You just stick a new song in there. Evita had You Must Love Me, which I really, really like. So leave everything, add one thing, or replace one thing. That's usually how it's done. So I could see them sticking in one Evermore, but I like Days in the Sun is obviously human again, but sadder. So I kind of like Days in the Sun. It's okay. I
don't like it.
I understand that, and all right, I do like How Can a Moment Last Forever, the Montmartre reprise. This is the Paris of my childhood. These were the waters of my life. That moment is beautiful, and like it's not sung beautifully because it's auto-tuned into oblivion. But I like that it's the tune of a music box that the father's putting together, and it's one of the many, many things that reminds me of Phantom of the Opera. And of course, the two stories have long had similar DNA, where, it's an ugly guy falling in love with a beautiful girl. But this movie version, and this is the cruelest thing I'm going to say about it, reminds me of Joel Schumacher's live-action adaptation of Phantom of the Opera. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of similar designs, similar ways that the musical numbers are staged, and Emma Watson is a little bit like Annie Rossum, actually.
I think she's not as... I think Emma Watson is worse, though.
Yeah, Emma Rossum is a better singer because she did sing on stage as a kid. And yeah, she's...
Wait, what? Emma Watson?
No, Annie Rossum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think she was like in a children's choir and they performed at Carnegie Hall, so she has some kind of training. Which, yeah, and the thing is, you're directly comparing Emma Watson to Paige O'Hara, and you have to. And Jess doesn't work. Paige O'Hara is brilliant. She's so, so good. And yeah, this always stuck with me where Howard Ashman was dying and they put like a speakerphone in to the studio while they were recording songs because he couldn't be there. Mm-hmm. And then Paige O'Hara was recording something there. And Howard Ashman like very hoarsely said over the phone, Streisand. And so what he wanted was new and a bit alarming, which is very similar to how Barbra Streisand would do it. And that gives it so much character. So I was hoping and waiting to see how Emma Watson would do that. And it was actually okay. The way she did alarming was okay.
Yeah.
Because after hearing that story, is you always look for that moment when you hear something there. You're always waiting for alarming to appear.
How do you feel about Gaston? Or
I like the change of Gaston into like a bar stomping number, which is a little bit like what they have in the musical. And the musical has this fun thing with the mugs, which I wish they kept, where it's a whole dance where they are very intricately clinking the mugs, and they have to be super precise with that, otherwise you're smashing a metal mug into another dancer's hand. So when you watch them rehearse it, it's so intricate. And it's like, I think one of the actors who played Gaston described it as, rubbing the top of your head and patting your stomach at the same time. That's what doing that dance is like. So I was looking forward to that. They didn't do that. I think Gaston on the whole was okay because Luke Evans is so good and is the best part of this. But I I used antlers and all of my decorating wasn't obvious enough. They did not like zoom in on antlers, which I wanted them to do oddly enough. They just like did a wide shot and there are antlers like in the chandelier. But it's so funny in the animated film where it's just all the antlers on the wall. No, it's this one I think isn't witty enough with how the musical numbers are staged.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It is witty with the rewrites where even Spiliotopoulos and Steven Chbosky, their screenplay has some bits that I thought were really funny. Like, I mean, the best joke in this is when Le Fou tells Gaston to calm down by, remember the war, remember the explosions and the blood and all the widows, and Gaston goes, yes, the widows, and then he immediately calms down. I thought that was really funny. And also earlier on when he goes, je ne sais quoi, and then Gaston goes, I don't know what that means. And je ne sais quoi means I don't know what in French. So that was funny, and it also made me wonder, what are they speaking in this film? Because if they're speaking French, then je ne sais quoi would be in English, and Belle is reading a book in English to the small girl, but her menu is in French. So translation convention, which I always get caught up about. I think that's really interesting.
Well, what else is there? The Beast. Do you want to talk about the Beast?
Yeah, let's move on to Dan Stevens of Downton Abbey fame as the Beast, and he's also on Legion right now, playing maybe Professor X's son, but we're not sure whether it's all in his head.
Well, Dan Stevens is very funny in real life. I just realized that when I watched the Beauty and the Beast interviews,
right?
Because there was one, I'm not sure, I think it was BuzzFeed or something, where they were quizzing each other
is it
on
Which
Disney.
Princess Are You?
No, it's the Disney. They were having some Disney quiz.
Okay.
And I think they were saying, okay, so in Lady and Tramp, what were they eating?
Right.
And he wrote down sushi, which I thought was really funny.
That's a good joke. Actually. Yeah,
And he's a very funny guy. I really like him.
Yeah, he's quite charismatic, which, okay, I'm very ashamed to admit that at the beginning of his career, I confused him for Alex Pettyfer. They look alike, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex,
I can see that.
And Alex Pettyfer also acted in the Beauty and the Beast adaptation.
It was terrible.
Yeah, we want to forget that exists.
I read the book, by the way.
Beastly?
There was...
Oh.
Yeah, it was worse than the movie.
Really,
and the movie was pretty
phase,
terrible.
Right? You had a YA phase.
Well, it wasn't really YA. It was more like, it's Beauty and the Beast. I want to read it because I like Disney.
I see.
So I read it and it was terrible.
Oh, no.
And also because Vanessa Hudgens was in it, and I kind of liked what her career was going at first.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
interesting. So. Okay, so yeah, what did you think about Dan Stevens as the Beast?
I never really paid attention to the Beast in the animated film, and I think that this is the same. Because he's not really in it that much.
Yeah, he makes a very late entrance.
Yeah, and I think he's scary when he's supposed to be, and I think he's sweet when he's supposed to be. So, yes, the Beast works. I like him a lot.
Cool.
Like, I like his relationship with his servants or his employees.
Yeah.
That was nice.
I think like they really went out of their way to make him sympathetic in this one so that you have less of the Stockholm Syndrome connotations. Like, they didn't want him to... They really did they did a whole backstory to try and justify.
Okay, no. I hate that backstory so much.
Okay.
Because it doesn't make sense. Because it's all about, hey, beauty... people are beautiful on the inside or something like that. And they give him this... I don't like that. The reason why he's bad is because his father treated him badly.
Yeah.
Like, I just rather him be an asshole.
It's very
and then he learns to be good.
It's very fan,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
I hate it so much. Like, that was so unnecessary. But I guess it's like, how would the Enchantress know that he was a good guy? Well, to be fair, the Enchantress is a bitch. Because she turned a little boy who had nothing to do with it into a teacup. And I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean,
really
she was
creepy.
like, she tried to kill all of the members of the Suicide Squad. So yeah, she's like not a good person, the Enchantress.
Oh, okay, sorry, I just got that joke. But
I've been waiting for, what is it now, an hour to do that joke.
Yeah, so I don't like that backstory, but I like the Beast.
Cool. Okay, I think he's great. I really like that they did a little bit of digital fudging on his voice, but not as obvious as with Emma Watson. I think they pulled like some of the pitch down to give him like a really rocky thing going on, and there are moments in Evermore where he reminds me very much of Robbie Benson, and Robbie Benson, the original voice of the Beast, is fantastic. He's really, really good. So anytime there's a stage musical version and they use a tenor instead of like a baritone as the Beast, I will go, no, too high. And that was what we got as well in Singapore, like Derek Pate, is his voice is a little bit too high to be the Beast, so I didn't really like that version when we got him on stage 2 years ago. With this, it's very tricky to have a romance between one real performer and one CGI performance capture character. And there are moments in this where he looks awkward. I think when he sings, it's a little bit weird. And my friend noticed that sometimes he's more animalistic, and other times it just looks like they pasted fur onto Dan Stevens' face in the computer, and it's a little bit jarring. Also, I really miss him stalking on all fours in front of the fire and attacking the wolves. I think that's a very important part of showing the evolution of the Beast on being very animalistic into something more human. And it's odd that they didn't do that, because they emphasize that with the objects, where they literally talk about, I'm turning more and more into a clock every day, which was an idea they came up with for the stage musical. So it stands to reason that the Beast would, be more Beast-like. So yeah, I missed him walking around on all fours.
I do have to say, I love the transformation scene when he goes from Beast to human. That was very close to the original, and I really like that.
Yeah, and I actually like the change in the plot where they cheat, where the last petal dares fall, but the enchantress is there. So, so that is probably like the big change.
Did you? Oh wait. Okay, never mind. I guess that's a spoiler, but we shouldn't say who it is.
What? You shouldn't say who what is?
Who the enchantress is.
Yeah, they give the enchantress an identity. It doesn't matter too much, but yeah. Are you okay with that? I like that. That was fine.
Okay, so I like the objects. I know you didn't like Lumia. Wait, was it Lumia the clock? The candle.
I actually liked all of them.
Okay.
No, yeah.
You just didn't like the outguest.
I didn't like the outguest in general, because I think it's a lose-lose situation. You cannot do that any other way than throw CGI at the screen. I think there could be some weird way to rig the plates, but it would be odd. And they could get away with it in the stage musical version because it's impressionistic. It's not literal forks and knives dancing. It's people dressed up as tableware, silverware, and they had a whole homage to the old Broadway, start with the arcs, going up, and that was fun. So we have to do that literally. So that's one of the problems that they run up against adapting this, is how literal do you make the objects. So yeah, the objects, I remember you not liking the design of the objects.
Oh, actually, I quite like it now.
So it grew on you, I guess.
Yeah, when you actually see animated and you know why they have to look realistic because of what happens at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, yeah, I can see why the design is like that.
I agree with you. Yeah, it makes sense. And I really, really wanted Belle to lift up Mrs. Potts, put her ear to Mrs. Potts and go, Professor Trelawney, are you still reading tea leaves?
Oh, that joke.
I have also been waiting an hour to do that joke.
There is one Harry Potter reference though.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, in Belle, one of the guys said, I think I forgot something, but I can't remember what. That's actually from Harry Potter.
Oh.
From the first film, I think it was Neville. He forgot something.
Yeah. That's interesting because I just watched the first and second films on the plane.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of like them, but I didn't get to finish Prisoner of Azkaban, so I'll get around to that.
Oh, Prisoner of Azkaban is my fave.
Yeah, a lot of people love that. It's good. I just didn't get to finish it. So that was... I did not know Emma Thompson was in Harry Potter before that. I did not know. I was like, wait, that's definitely Emma Thompson. So...
Oh, okay.
And then I had a friend who pointed out the tea leaves thing. I was like, yeah, duh, of course. She's a pot now. So I thought that was really funny. And, okay, did you find it weird that Chip was always moving around on the saucer? Because he didn't do that in the animated film.
I didn't notice it until the very end.
Okay. Yeah, it was a bit weird. It's like, is this a tumor?
Oh, dude, come on.
No, but I like that they gave Mrs. Potts feet. I thought that was very clever. They gave her little feet, like a bed with feet or a bathtub with feet. so that she didn't have to bounce around the floor.
One thing that did you like the change of how no one remembered who they were, and that's why no one came to look for them?
That was an interesting device. I like that. I think it was a way to like cover up a plot hole of like, what happened to all of these people? Surely they have families. So they did like, Men in Black neuralizer magic. I thought that was fine, and I also like how that led to some reunions at the end of the film. Mm-hmm. Which when you realize what's going on, like, oh. And yeah, that's interesting because, well, I don't want to spoil it too much, but the end of the animated film sort of sets up Maurice and Mrs. Potts. And in this one, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was a little bit sad because in my heart, I always wanted Maurice to end up with Mrs. Potts.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that really disturbs me is that they age at the same time. So there's a lot of lost years in there, I guess.
But Chip is the same.
Or maybe
age.
Is it months? Okay, so that means that the people inside the castle never age.
Yeah.
And the people outside do age.
Yes. Which is,
so that's kind of odd.
It is weird. Yeah, the metaphysics of all of it doesn't really make sense. And that's another problem that you get when you do a live action remake is people will pay more attention to that because things are meant to be quote unquote more realistic. So there's the mechanics of that. Okay, what did I really, really love about the objects? I love the dog they cast as Frou-Frou.
The dog they cast?
Yes, when the footstool turns back into a dog. I was
okay.
That is a perfect looking dog. I can imagine that dog being that footstool. So, and he gets a credit or she gets a credit in the end credits where Frou-Frou is played by Gizmo. So that was very cute.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else is there to talk about this
I mean,
film?
Ian McKellen is very, very good. I was kind of surprised at how much he fit Cogsworth because in my head, Cogsworth doesn't sound old, but it works. And he has like this long-standing working relationship with Bill Condon that goes back to Gods and Monsters, this movie Bill Condon made about the director of Frankenstein, James Whale, and how, he had a relationship with a man and like how being gay was in Hollywood at the time. And then he also did Mr. Holmes, starring Ian McKellen as Sherlock Holmes. So I think that's why Bill Condon brought him on as Cogsworth.
Ewan McGregor kept dumping on himself for being bad at French accents.
No, it's very funny.
Yeah, I like it. Like he's
good. Yeah.
And I think he's never seen Beauty and the Beast before.
Yeah.
So I thought he did a fantastic job as Lumiere.
And the thing is
he was my favorite, by the way. So
he's good. Yeah.
Just putting out that. Yeah.
Lumiere is, I think you can get away with a terrible French accent because he's a caricature. And there's some versions on stage which do a really over the top French accent, and I find it very funny. And the only thing in my head the whole time was, "Oh ho ho, Anakin! Now I have the high ground." Where it's like, his apprentice limbs was on fire, and then now his limbs are on fire.
Oh, okay. See, Star Wars joke, couldn't get it.
Star Wars joke, yeah. Which is like 90% of the jokes I made. Okay. Kevin Kline as Maurice.
Kevin Kline
as Maurice, as the dad. The actor's name is Kevin Kline.
Okay, yeah. He's okay. I mean, there's nothing to do in that role, right?
Well, in the stage musical, they have No Matter What, which is a very, very beautiful, like, very sweet little moment.
Yeah.
So they changed that into How Does a Moment Last Forever? And they changed it, but they keep some of the dialogue. My daughter, odd, which I like. I like that they kept that. They make him a lot less silly. Like, he doesn't run around in his underwear showing, and they don't make him as much of a comic relief buffoon as they originally did, which I like. And interesting thing, I only just remembered or read again that Kevin Kline voiced Phoebus in Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I don't remember who that is.
He's the blonde guy whom Esmeralda falls in love with.
Okay.
Yeah, the guy who stole Esmeralda from Quasimodo.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can't. Okay, I don't want to say anything about that because it's a ship, so I don't want to. I'm going to stray away from that.
Yeah, you better.
Yeah, I think he's okay.
Okay.
Like, Maurice didn't really do that much.
No, not really. Yeah, we have to go to Gaston and LeFou now, I guess.
I like Luke Evans as Gaston, but he isn't as great. I don't know. There's something about him that's not as awesome as the original Gaston, and I don't really like the way he dies in this.
I thought it was okay. I think it was close enough.
It felt very anticlimactic. Then again, a lot of Disney films are very anticlimactic.
Yeah, it is. I think it still keeps to the template of a Disney villain death, where
which is awesome villain, very weird death.
where you just fall and like we don't find out what happens to you later. Because I think in the stage version, at one point they wanted him to be eaten by wolves.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's worse.
which is
But
worse.
I think Tarzan is the scariest though, because you do see the silhouette of him getting hanged.
Yeah, which is very very dark. Okay, I like Luke Evans a lot. I think that he's really channeling Hugh Jackman in this. I think he's trying to be as Hugh Jackman like as he can.
I disagree.
You
I
disagree?
think Luke Evans is very charismatic by himself. Like, he doesn't remind me of Hugh Jackman at all, except the charisma.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's just because they're charismatic. I really like Luke Evans. I think he was the best thing about The Hobbit.
Alright, as Bart the Bowman. Yeah, I mean, the reason I say that is because Hugh Jackman, like, he did originate the role in Sydney, and I have a feeling that Luke Evans went over a lot of takes of Hugh Jackman, and was sort of looking at the things, because they're little, like, facial takes, which I really love, and the whole bit he does with the mirror I liked a lot. Yeah, and they're just moments where he's just sitting there looking pleased with himself, which are sublime, which are beautiful, and I think he threw himself into the role, and yeah, he works a lot better than Emma Watson as well, unfortunately. Whereas, like, I have an easier time buying you as Gaston. You're not perfect, because only the animated Gaston is perfect. But that's the thing, right? The animated Gaston is so much a cartoon character.
Yeah.
So, like,
but I think he plays it off really well.
He does. And in the stage musical, people wear padding. Like, they wear muscle padding. And I'm actually kind of happy they didn't do that with this. That this is actual
it would look really silly.
It would be silly, yeah. So, and, yeah. Hi, Cat.
Oh, it's not here.
No.
I think it's just scratching things now.
Okay, yeah. I thought I heard a cat. Interestingly, the beast looks a lot like a cat in John Cocteau's version. Like,
oh, that sounds adorable.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. That was the black and white version by John Cocteau. That influences a lot of the later versions of Beauty and the Beast. And it has a very iconic moment where the beast is taking bath on the corridor and all of the hands holding the candelabras move.
Okay. So, I think I've seen that before.
Yeah, that's right. So that's where that's from.
That was also what inspired Phantom of the Opera,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. And they actually had some of that in this movie as well, in that they had sculptures of hands holding stuff. So yeah, they did not move, but it was inspired by that.
Okay.
LeFou.
Yeah, and what about LeFou?
Yeah. Okay.
I really liked him as LeFou too.
This was perfect. Like, the moment they said Josh Gad as LeFou, was like, oh, that's obvious. That works. Okay, one thing I was disappointed about is in the animated film, which I just rewatched with the commentary, LeFou has a snowman joke. He looks like a snowman because he stood there for a year according to Gaston's orders and is covered in snow. And they did not do that in the film, which would have been perfect because Josh Gad voiced Olaf in Frozen.
Yeah.
So I was like, were they about to do it and then thought it was too obvious? But
yeah, I think so.
They could have gotten away with it because it's in the animated. Sorry, it's just a missed opportunity. I love jokes like that.
It's okay. You got one with Harry Potter that you totally got, right?
Which one?
The one with Neville.
Oh, Neville. No, I did not totally get that. I didn't remember that was where it's from. Thank you for finding that out. Yeah, with LeFou, I think they did the most characterization with him, where, okay, when they announced LeFou is gay, and then everyone had their panic, I was like, it's not going to be a flattering portrayal of a gay man, because LeFou is a sycophant. It's very much like, my friend brought this up, Captain Hook and Mrs. Smee, and on The Simpsons you have Burns and Smithers, and Matt Groening said that Smithers is Burns sexual, so he's like the only target of his sexuality is his boss when he follows around. And so I said, if you're going to do that to LeFou, that's like not very flattering towards gay people in general. But they went a little bit further with that, and in the end I was kind of happy what they did.
I do agree with you. And you know what? I kind of find it so stupid how Malaysia decided to censor out that one part where they kind of implied that he was gay.
Where did they cut? Where was the cut?
I don't know, but I'm assuming it's the part where he dances with the guy.
Yeah, and then someone else said it's the beginning of Gaston where he's posing on the table. So I don't know what that is.
Okay,
yeah, it
so
sounds like it's more likely to be him dancing at the end.
I don't. It's really dumb. Like, honestly, I don't even think that this was a marketing move.
I feel
it's just that. It's just that. But I think it's because people are making such a huge deal out of it.
Right, yeah.
That's why it became as big as it is. I think...
Yeah, I mean, I think you could bring a kid to see this, and your kid would not leave the movie asking, why does LeFou like men?
Yeah. And... It's silly. I think it's great that Disney is open to the idea of maybe having gay characters.
Maybe.
But
yeah, because, I mean, there are gay people in this world, and gay people in stories too. I think they have gay characters on one of their sitcoms. One of their...
No.
Yeah, where they had, like, two moms in one family.
Oh, yes, okay. But that was, like, one episode.
Yeah, it was on TV. It was one episode. And this one also has Disney's first, like, live-action interracial kiss, where you have two, actually, between Stanley Tucci and Audra McDonald.
I never knew that.
And Ewan McGregor and Hugo Bavarois, which is nice. Yeah, we forgot to talk about Audra McDonald, whom, like, she doesn't get to do enough in this movie. She's the wardrobe. And
the wardrobe never had enough to do, though.
Yeah, she had, like, a very funny stanza in Human Again, where it's like, I'll wear gowns, I'll have hair. and so she says, won't that all be top drawer? And I was like, ha 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 ha. Yeah.
You really love your puns, don't you, Jedd?
I do, yes. I love it when Howard Ashman works the puns.
So you must have loved, like, Lumiere's puns on how, like, we ran out of time or something like that.
Yes.
I forgot what all the jokes were.
Yeah.
I really love those jokes too. They were really good.
Yes, it felt like in the spirit of Howard Ashman, and may he rest in peace. Audra McDonald, she sings an aria at the beginning, which reminds me so much of Prima Donna from Phantom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think it's just drawing on the same thing. Oh, I forgot to talk about this bit. I think I spotted some DNA of a song from Tangled in two of the songs here.
And they are?
Okay, so I See the Light, it begins like da 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 da. So it has like a chords opening, and that is how Does a Woman Last Forever begin.
Okay.
Yeah, very similar, like the way this is just very quiet, there's only the piano or only the celeste bells playing, and then I think the chorus reminds me a lot of the chorus of I See the Light, and I know she'll never leave me, and at last I see the light. So that
okay. Well, I didn't notice that. That's really cool. I really love Evermore, by the way. Maybe more so than If I Can't Love Her. I'm sorry, Jedd.
It's okay. It's a good song. Like, after I heard it, I was like, it's fine. But it's not If I Can't Love Her. Now, the thing is that I think Evermore is a little bit more traditional of a torch song, and If I Can't Love Her is more specific to the bee situation, because it directly addresses the spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, in the story, I think, and the point where If I Can't Love Her appears in the stage play, he really has lost all hope, and then you're like, oh. So that is the moment where the audience sort of starts feeling the most sympathy towards the beast, because before that, you just see him being angry and locking people up.
Oh, yeah, and I like how in Evermore you actually literally see the fading light, like as he goes up, and then at the last moment you see, it's gone. Right. And I thought that was really sad.
Yeah,
but there was one thing that I really wish was in the film was when he hits the last note. I wish it ended with a roar, because that was what happened in the animated film.
Oh, that's true. Wait, does he have a solo in the animated film?
No, he just roars.
Oh yeah, he roars as Belle leaves.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because Belle has made him more human, and then as she leaves, he's reverting to a beast form. So yeah. I wanted them to do a bit more with that. Yes, it's a very good point about the roar. Yeah, I mean, my colleague, she found Evermore a little bit silly because he's sort of standing there singing as she runs away. But I thought it was okay.
As she runs away.
Yeah, and even as she fades from me. So I love that. I love it so much. I sang it and then I played the violin. So I will send you both, and then you can choose which one is less terrible. to use it.
Okay. Oh, don't do that, Jedd.
Yeah, I will make you like either say I'm a terrible violinist or I'm a terrible singer, or both if we just end up using everything is awesome, which will break my heart. I'm telling you that.
I got it. Don't worry, I'll definitely use one of them.
Thank you. Yeah, Evermore is pretty, and I like that they got Celine Dion back to do How Does Woman Last Forever. So here's the thing, right? She has addiction problems as well, but she's French Canadian, so it's part of her charm. Ariana Grande has no excuse. I went and watched Zero to Hero. I was like, what? What is
Yes,
going?
I know, right?
It's hilarious.
Really
No, it's terrible because she hits all the notes and she has
yeah,
power.
but she can't sing. As in, she can't sing. She can't enunciate well.
Yes, and that song, the lyrics are important because it's the muses telling the story. So
and she's also going same and little man.
Yeah, a lot of
like
random
that. It was
ass
really
runs,
weird.
right? Yeah. Yeah, so
all right.
Yeah,
sorry for Ariana Grande bashing.
Yeah, no, I've been doing that so much, like the karaoke thing, and I don't like the music video either.
I've never seen a music video.
Yeah, it's her. She's wearing a ball gown, but it's red, and then John Legend is playing the piano wearing something that looks like the Beast's clothes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not terrible, but it just like it emphasizes how they don't go together physically as well as vocally. Yeah. Like when you saw People Bryson with Celine Dion, you're kind of like, I buy that.
Well, to be fair, I never really liked the pop version of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, all the radio edits are not as good. That's a general rule. Can you think of one radio edit of a Disney song that's better than how they use it?
I like the one for Hercules. Michael Bolton, I think.
Oh,
Michael Bolt.
Is it his Go the Distance?
Yeah, Go the Distance.
All right, okay.
I really love the lyrics for that one.
Yeah. Yeah, so we got derailed for a bit there. Sorry. Were you talking about LeFou?
Yeah, we were, but I think there's not really much to talk about him besides.
Oh, no, I commented on a Malaysian friend's Facebook post in it. Be our guest, cause your neighbours are the best. Cross the causeway where LeFou isn't too gay. We've got our issues too, but we'll screen the film for you, so be our guest, be our guest, be our guest.
How long did you write that lyrics?
How long did I take to write those lyrics?
Yes.
5 minutes?
Thank you for correcting my English. It's so bad. Huh?
Like, I wrote it as I was commenting.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. I'm very proud of that.
I really want to see Disney do Snow White. I think that's the one that needs the most update. Yeah, because I think what they did with Cinderella was amazing. And I think what they did with Beauty and the Beast, it was more or less the same, but that's just me.
Yeah,
and I think that it really didn't need this because I think
its existence, right?
Yeah, because Cinderella I can understand because kids may not want something that looked that old or that sounded kind of bad. Yeah. Because of the audio at that period of time. So I guess a Cinderella now would introduce them to that Disney Cinderella. But I think Beauty and the Beast it's not as old as Disney thinks it is. And people will still go back to watch it.
Yeah, I think that's because this is the first Renaissance one that they have done. And there's a lot of distance between there's a lot of distance between Cinderella and the kind of run-out one. There's a lot of distance between Sleeping Beauty and Maleficent, and there's a lot of distance between Jungle Book and the Jon Favreau Jungle Book. So there's not a lot of distance. So there's 25-ish years, but it's not that long. I was not totally opposed to this because I thought they were going to do the stage musical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't opposed to this because I thought that I just wanted to see the ballroom scene in live action.
And that was disappointing.
That was a big disappointment.
Yeah.
You know what I want to see in a Disney remake?
Yes, what do you want to see in a Disney remake, Gerry?
Edgar Wright and Emperor's New Groove. I would love to see that.
Because I think he can pull off the
stylized thing so well.
That is a very good idea, actually, Edgar Wright. Then people will complain that he's not Mexican. You know it, right? You know people will complain he's not Mexican. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I do.
How about you?
I really, really want Hunchback because they have
Hunchback. Any director in mind or casting?
Well, if anybody asks me who I'm going to pick to direct anything, I usually say Guillermo del Toro, and I think that kind of fits with Hunchback.
Yes,
it does, right? Yeah, casting. Someone mentioned Daniel Radcliffe because he plays Igor in Frankenstein. I could kind of see it. He's short.
But he's very handsome.
He
to
is,
me, at
yeah.
least.
I mean, whoever it is, gonna have to stick lots of prosthetics onto them. Charles Dance as Frollo.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know who I'm gonna pick for Esmeralda, but somebody. Another thing is the period, like when exactly this is set, which is a wonderful thing to debate about. Because
I don't care.
Yeah, no, I
It doesn't matter.
I care a little bit. It's a little bit screwy. I love it because you have different influences going on. You have the big bouffant wigs and the clothes, and it's supposed to remind you of Marie Antoinette. And then they say that Gaston fought in the war. So what was this? Was this the French Revolution? Was this 100 Years' War? I mean, there's so many wars in French history, so very interesting. What war did Gaston fight in? And then you see a plague doctor's mask, and they talk about the plague. So that was obviously a lot earlier, So that's like, these are problems that you run up against in a live action movie that people will let slide in an animated movie. So when you start to...
That's not true. Have you seen the honest trailers?
For Beauty and the Beast?
Yes.
As a general rule of thumb, do not like honest trailers. So they
Okay.
they talk about the period, right?
I think they talk about Stockholm Syndrome again most of the time.
That's an easy target. No, I think like another thing is she reads Shakespeare to him, and I like that because there are two versions of something there in the musicals. Because this is going to get very geeky, but in the original recording, if I'm not wrong, she reads Lancelot and Guinevere. She reads King Arthur Knights of the Round Table to him, and then in later versions she reads Romeo and Juliet, or the other way around. So in this movie they do both, which I like. She gets to read both stories to him.
One thing that bothered me when I first watched it was how the bookstore didn't have that cool, a lot of books
the
and then she's on the ladder.
Yes, she didn't do the slidey ladder, which is the most iconic. Like, that's what I think of when I think of the number bell, is her slidey ladder in.
But at the same time, I'm like, okay, this is alright after you introduced, the entire library, because she only had that few books to look at,
makes
and
better
then
sense. Yeah, that's why she was so hyped about all the books, and just like, have you read all of them?
I love the Beast's reaction to her liking Romeo and Juliet. I thought that was really cute.
Yes, there's a lot of little really cute moments between the Beast and Belle, which really sold the romance in this. And they made him a lot cuddlier, I think. They tamped down how fearsome he was. And what was it? Okay, the bookstore owner, that guy, does not join in the mob song. I loved it. He's standing there like he refuses to join the Gaston. So he's the only one who is not doing Kill the Beast.
Good for him.
Yeah, I thought that was a very cute detail. And I guess he would be the only one who wouldn't do that because he knows spell. Okay, did you like her teaching the little girl how to read? That's cute.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that's like...
I didn't like that she was an inventor though.
No, she insisted that she be an inventor. Okay, so there's some things Emma Watson does where it's like, I understand it's for the cause, and I understand third wave feminism and all of that, and it's a lot of things she says make sense, but please don't do this when you're an actor playing a character, because
also
there's certain input you can have, but then when your input overrides an original material thing,
and also I don't like that. I mean, because she's a real life Mary Sue, right?
She is, she's just Belle can do everything. And that's another thing, is like when you look at her, you see Hermione, and then to start with, Belle and Hermione are quite alike because they're both smart and they both attitude, but it's stronger because of the changes that Emma Watson made.
For which character?
For Belle, like bringing Belle more in line with Mary Sue.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that either. She needs flaws, man.
I'm glad we agree
but I
with
guess
that.
Belle's flaw is that she's very judgmental.
I guess, yeah. Or it would be funny if a flaw was she's clumsy and then she's just falling all over the town.
But no. Then there's actually a term for that in anime, where the girl is very smart and whatever, and she's a Mary Sue, but she's very cute and clumsy.
Oh yes, there has
and I don't
to
want
be.
that in my
No,
Disney
yeah, there
films
has to
at
be a
all.
term for that. Oh, and another thing that's interesting.
It's called a waifu syndrome, by the way.
Oh boy. Yeah. That's her, Lafu. That's my waifu. No, another thing is they named the town Villeneuve in honor of the original author.
Okay.
That was cute,
that's cute.
yeah. The town does not have a name it's the poor provincial town on the spot.
It's the town that sucks.
Yeah, the town that sucks, which would be kind of funny if it was on the side. The town that sucks is 12 km that way. But they call it Villeneuve in honor of the author. So yeah, if you, like, I've read differences between the original thing and this one, and like Gaston is totally made up. The original villains are two stepsisters. Then so they were kind of like, no, we already did that. And the father is like a wealthy merchant who's away a lot. So it's basically Cinderella, kind of. Yeah. So they changed that, and they did not have enchanted objects in the original story.
Okay.
Yes. So there's a lot that Howard Ashman and the writers and the Wolverton did, and the cleverest thing is making the rose the ticking clock, which was not in the original story either. They did not have, if all the petals fall, the curse will remain permanent, which is a very, very good ticking clock device for introducing you to the concept.
Okay, so I think I'm exhausted from talking about Beauty and the Beast. I think that this film is okay. If you're a fan of the original, I think a lot of fans are being a little bit too overprotective of this movie.
Yeah, kinda.
And it's also kind of ironic because you look at what Disney did with Marvel, and a lot of Marvel fans are not happy with Disney's changes in the Marvel films.
Right.
And Disney fans only started some Disney fans only started liking Marvel because of Disney Marvel. So I don't think it's fair that it is kind of hypocritical that they don't like this, like Beauty and the Beast, just because they're trying to bring it to a new audience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that makes sense. And I think that here's the thing: any remake is not going to erase the existence of the original. So yeah, just because there's a 2014 RoboCop, that doesn't mean 1987 RoboCop vanishes from existence.
Yeah, and I think that the most disappointing thing about this movie were not the changes that they made to the film. It was the missed opportunity to take something from the animated film and bring it to life, like the dress.
Yeah.
And the songs that maybe some people have never heard of from the stage music.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah, and I think that this is a good adaptation.
Yes.
Because it's not supposed to be a direct copy of the animated film. It's just that some of the things that they did, I'm not a huge fan of, like the costume changes, the songs not being sung that well by the main character.
And so this is an interesting thing, because how far and how much do you change of a remake? And it's a totally different situation from The Jungle Book, where you
just change everything.
Yeah, where you had an original film that didn't really have a plot. It was more or less, musical sequences strung together, because it was based on a series of stories instead of one whole story. And then the remake made it a lot more coherent and threaded it through and changed the tone of it, but also kept the song. So that is one of the best examples of how you remake something, but you can't do the same thing to Beauty and the Beast, because Beauty and the Beast is a lot better as an animated film, or a lot more complete, I guess, than Jungle Book. And so I totally agree with you in that they added, like, my favorite thing they did was they added characterization, and they made LeFou a little bit more three-dimensional, and they did the whole thing with Belle's childhood. They had like her childhood home. Her rattle being a rose was very, very clever. So you show that the rose has been something that is a motif associated with her all through her life, and that's why she wants her dad to bring a rose back. And I love that they kept that, because that is in the original story, that Belle feels guilty that she made her dad pick a rose, so she volunteers to take his place in the beast.
Kind of odd that he picked a rose when he was trying to run away. But
okay. I was like, oh, one more thing. In the scary castle with, like, the teapot boy monster, the teacup boy monster. I like how they do it in the stage version where it's like they just cut off a small child's head. It looks like there's a small child's head that's been decapitated.
Oh yes, I love that too.
So cute, yeah, with the mirrors.
It's very funny. It always gets a laugh though.
Yeah, where she like Mrs. Potts like purposely lifting him off the thing, and you see that there's no body underneath.
Yeah. So I think if you are very open to changes, which there isn't a lot to be honest.
No, it's
but
very faithful.
If you're not picky,
yeah,
if you're not picky about changes, then I would say watch it as a Disney fan.
Yeah.
But if you are very, I'm sorry to say this, but if you are a little bit too attached,
like if you're wedded to it, if you're married to the original version,
and you love it like crazy, then I'm sorry, but this is not the film for you, and no remake will ever be the film for you. So just stick to your Beauty and the Beast, stick to your really poor characterization of a lot of characters, and there you go.
Yeah, and
you got the best Gaston though, so I'll give you that.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking how different this would be if they filmed the stage version and like the Enchanted Objects wore people in weird costumes and they.
You see, that'll be okay,
Yeah,
because I think there's this level of I guess it's like video games where it's okay to have a little bit of protrusion. Like when you're climbing a mountain or something, if your hand goes into the mountain, that's okay.
Yeah, just clipping.
But
right?
in an animated film, you can't do that.
No, yeah.
So I think it's the same kind of mentality. Yeah. So whatever. Beauty and the Beast is a movie.
Right, and that's going on the poster. Beauty and the Beast is a movie, Jerry.
I think I've said that for a lot of films, right?
Yeah, you have. One more thing. Well, there's so much little stuff to notice. Okay, the grey stuff. Yeah, that bothered me a bit because the grey stuff in the animated film is clearly some sort of sesame swirl, and then in this one it's caviar. So
what's grey stuff?
Try the grey stuff; it's delicious. Don't believe me, ask the dishes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and in Disneyland they have a grey stuff, like a grey stuff Danish where it's like Oreo cream.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
In like a twisty like croissant, like a pastry roll, and I was very close to getting that, but I was like, I'm not spending so much money today, so I didn't do that. I was very disciplined with my spending at Disneyland, I have to tell you. I bought one drink and one toy.
Good for you. When I was in Disneyland in Japan, I used up almost all my money.
I can understand.
And that was my first 3 days in Japan, so I had to like skim a lot.
So you were like begging in Shibuya Square later on.
I had only 1 meal per day.
Oh jeez.
After Disneyland, yeah.
And then you're like, this is what I do for you, Mickey. And then Mickey's like, oh,
yeah,
I'm evil.
You're not evil, Mickey. I love you. I just wore the Disneyland shirt, the really ugly Disneyland shirt I bought in Disneyland for Beauty and the Beast because it's so ugly, but I love it because there's like Minnie Mouse on it.
Oh, so you bought it?
I love Minnie Mouse. Yeah. But I can't wear it all the time because it's really ugly.
There were so many cute couple shirts I saw in Disneyland, and one of my favorites is the guy wears a shirt which says "Her Beast," and then the girl wears a shirt that says "His Beauty."
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yes, it's so cute. They're standing in line together. I love it.
I got one with I think it's a Foon strap, so one is Aladdin and one is Jasmine because they're my favorite Disney couple.
Oh, that's cute. And like I saw in the store, they were selling a shirt. One shirt says "I love you" and the other shirt says "I know" in the Star Wars shirt.
But that's Star Wars, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that
I want the "I know" shirt though. I want to be that one.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Beauty and the Beast, I guess.
Yep.
Did you come out of it thinking, oh, I've waited these 2 years and I'm so sad?
No,
right?
I think I think as the trailers kept coming out, I kind of realized that it probably isn't going to be as good as I wanted.
Yeah, you managed your expectations, and you had the benefit of hearing Emma Watson sing Belle, which I refused to hear. I was like, I don't know what songs.
I guess I was just fangirling a lot. So when I heard it for the first time, I think that was when I had. Oh, that was so.
That was a reality check, right? I guess.
Because I really honestly thought that Emma Watson was perfect.
Yeah, I think she could do anything. I did not know she would have to be like auto-tuned.
Yeah, I did not know that she was a bad singer. I didn't know that was possible for Hermione Granger.
No, the auto-tune is like pancake makeup. It's like the makeup that Johnny Depp wears. It's like it's very obvious.
Yeah, it's really, really bad.
Yeah, but I mean the tweaking they did to Dan Stevens' voice was nice, where they sort of like pulled it down a little bit.
Yeah. And had some kind of reverb to it also.
Yes, to have like a growly something, because it is a huge chest cavity that these guys. But I love all of this stuff, the mechanics of it, and I like watched all the behind the scenes material I could find on Beauty and the Beast. So yeah, I would really love to meet Alan Menken one day. Like, he's one of my big heroes. I love Alan Menken.
I don't know who I like to meet in terms of musical. I guess Indina Menzel.
Okay.
Because I love Wicked so much.
Yeah, I
But then I associate her with Elsa as well, and I kind of don't want that.
Yeah, so when is the next live action thing? Are they doing Aladdin next or Mulan next?
Yeah, either Aladdin or Mulan is next. I forgot.
And then Lion King is somewhere in between, right?
Yes.
Danny Glover as Simba, which good. I like that.
So coming out next week is Chips and Power Rangers. I don't think we'll be doing anything for quite some time. Maybe Guardians of the Galaxy will do it.
Okay.
We'll do a podcast because I'm very busy with school.
I understand. So you're not going to do Ghost in the Shell, right?
No, I can't be bothered.
Okay, yeah. I can't say anything about that, but I do want to say things about that. So eventually read my review, I guess. But yeah.
I definitely will.
Yeah.
Yep, so see you next month.
Ish. Yeah.
Ish. Yes. At the end of the next month, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you and au revoir.